Okay, Bruchim Haba, Good Erev Shabbos. Welcome everyone. We have very special material today. Before we begin, some public service announcements. Many know that we're preparing the Sefer Berchos HaTzadik Likutei Ben LaAshri of the Tzadik Ranan. If anybody would like to participate in this historic project, the Ben LaAshri promises that he would pray for anyone who says over his Divrei Torah. Okay, if anybody would like to join us this coming President's Day, if you look on the screen, Panama Yarchei Kala, February 16th to 18th, we have, Baruch Hashem, a very robust participation, but there are some spots left. If anybody wants to participate, please see the flyer, go to our site, rabbidg.com, and it'll be an amazing experience. Okay. So, we begin with our first offering, Pesacheinu Megadim, connecting the beginning and the end of the Parsha. Now, I have to say, this one was not so easy. I was trying to connect the first pasuk, Ve'ela Shemos B'nei Yisrael Haba Mitzrayma Es Yaakov Ishu Beisei Ba'u, with the pasuk, Vayomer Hashem El Moshe, Ato sira asher esel leparoi ki biyad chazaka yishalchem uviyad chazaka yigarashem me'artzoi. The Balaturim points out that the pasuk begins and ends with a letter Vav. The pasuk begins and ends with the letter Vav. What's interesting is, my friend Rabbi Glatstein of France pointed out that the last pasuk of the Parsha also begins and ends with the letter Vav. But I was trying to find a thematic connection between the beginning and the end, and then it just opened up, the Pesach opened up, and the ideas began to flow. Because the pasuk begins with the exile, Ve'ela Shemos B'nei Yisrael Haba Mitzrayma, the Jews descending to Egypt. But it ends with the Geula, Vayomer Hashem El Moshe, Ata sira asher esel lefaroi ki biyad chazaka yishalchem. So it begins with the Galus and it ends with the Geula, but not just the Geula, it ends by speaking about how Hashem is going to redeem us earlier than the appointed time. Uviyad chazaka yigarshem me'artzoi, Rashi says, al karcham shel Yisrael, yigarshem v'yaspiku l'asislam said they won't even have enough time to pack provisions. And what's amazing is, if you look at the opening pasuk of Shemos, not only is the Galus alluded to, but many of the reasons why we were redeemed is also alluded to. In other words, the opening pasuk of the Parsha speaks about going down to Mitzrayim. The closing pasuk speaks about going out. But the connection between the opening and the closing is not just, well, it starts with the Galus and it ends with the Geula, but many of the Zechusim for the Geula are found in the first pasuk already. So that would be a connection between the beginning and the end. The end talks about the Geula, and the first pasuk tells us the Zechusim for the Geula. Moreover, the Parsha ends that we will be redeemed early. Many of the Zechusim of why we were redeemed early are found in the first pasuk. Let's start. Ve'ela Shemos B'nei Yisrael Habaim. The Balaturim says, Shemos B'nei Yisrael Habaim, Rashi Teva Shivya, captivity. That even when they were a Beshivya, even when they were in captivity, Shemos B'nei Yisrael, they maintained their names. Shaloshinu HaShemoisam. They didn't change their names. Like Chazal say in Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, because of three things we were redeemed from Egypt. One of them was we didn't change our names. In the Sefer Yismach Hashem also says this would connect the beginning of the Parsha to the end. You know why? Biyad chazaka yishalchem uviyad chazaka yigarashem, because ve'ela Shemos B'nei Yisrael, because we maintained our Jewish names, therefore we were zoicha to be redeemed before the time. So one zechus for Geula that's found in the opening pasuk is Shemos. We didn't change our names. Here's another one. Yisrael Habaim, the Balaturim says, Rashi v'soifei tevois mila. Yisrael begins in a yud, ends in a lamed. Habaim begins in a hey, ends in a mem. Rashi tevois v'soifei tevois mila. And by the way, the words Es Yaakov Ish end in a tough beis shin Shabbos to teach that in the merit of Shabbos and Mila, we were redeemed from Mitzrayim. So that connects to the end of the Parsha, that because of Mila, Yisrael Habayim, Rashi Teva Sevetevas Mila, and because of Eis Yaakov Ish Sevetevas Shabbos, because of that, Ki biyad chazaka yishalchim, uviyad chazaka yigarshem me'artzai. Another reason why we were redeemed, the Chidah speaks about in many places. Why were we redeemed after 210 years? After all, we were supposed to be there 400 years. The answer is Hashem calculated the intensity of the bondage, the koishi hashibud, as if we actually served 400 complete years. And the Chidah explains in the Haggadah Shel Pesach, Simchas Haregel, that this logic only holds true if Klal Yisrael is beloved to Hashem, if we're like the children of Hashem, but not if we're like Hashem's avadim. Therefore, the Parsha begins, Ve'ela Shemos B'nei Yisrael. And Rashi says, even though Hashem counted us in our lifetime by name, He counted us again after the Jewish people passed away to show how beloved we are. That's why, because the Parsha begins with the love Hashem has for Klal Yisrael, which explains why we're able to get out after only 210 years. And therefore the Parsha ends, Ki biyad chazaka yigarashem. You know why we left early? Because of Hashem's love for us, evident in the very first pasuk. By the way, as the Chidah says in the Reish David in Parshas Bahar, that haloizeh hadavar ki kfar noida asher pinas yikras yisoid musad la'adas Yisrael mi Mitzrayim v'adhena. The foundational principle of the Jewish people from the day we left Egypt until now is that we are the beloved children of Hashem. So since the Parsha begins with Hashem's chiba for the Jewish people, that allowed us to leave early. Okay. In the Sefer Chanukas HaTorah, in Parshas Kisavai, he brings another reason why we had to go down to Mitzrayim. And that is because Yaakov Avinu injected Targum into the Torah. Because of Yaakov's conversation with Lavan called it Yegar Sahadusa. So therefore, Klal Yisrael came down to Mitzrayim. So we could say like this. Chasam Sofer teaches us in Chulen that the mitzvah of Shnayim Mikra ve'echad Targum, the reason for this mitzvah is we're mevatel the Targum 1 into 2. Chad b'trei. So it comes out, the Parsha begins, Ve'ela Shemos B'nei Yisrael. The Levush says, Ve'ela Shemos B'nei Yisrael. The Levush says in Siman Reish Pehei, every Jew is chayiv to complete the Parsha every week, Shnayim Mikra ve'echad Targum, in order to be a baki in the Torah. The siman is Ve'ela Shemos B'nei Yisrael, V'chayiv Adam Likrois HaParsha Shnayim Mikra V'echad Targum. The words Ve'ela Shemos stand for V'chayiv Adam Likrois HaParsha Shnayim Mikra V'echad Targum. So that the Zechus, how we get out of Mitzrayim, namely we're mevatel the Targum, that Yaakov Avinu allowed entry into the Chumash. The mitzvah of Shnayim Mikra is a zechus to get out of Mitzrayim. So therefore the opening pasuk begins with the mitzvah of Shnayim Mikra, and the Parsha ends that Ki biyad chazaka yishalachem uviyad chazaka yigarshem me'artzai. We see, friends, that many zechusim and reasons that we were redeemed are merumas in the very first pasuk, that we were not shinu es shemam, Shabbos, Mila, Hashem's love for us, and the mitzvah of Shnayim Mikra, the Echad Targum, hooking it in to the end of the Parsha, Ki biyad chazaka, Yishalchem, Uviyad chazaka, Yigarshem me'artzei. Okay, that's our opening offering for today.